What is going on, and welcome back to the Journeyman with me, FoggyPlays, on FM22. As you can see, we're still in charge of Slovan Liberec because we've been off to a fantastic start so far this year. We were going to be doing 2 games in this episode. We're not actually going to be doing them because the 6 weeks since you were here last have been quite busy transfer-wise. So I'm going to go through the transfers, and we're going to take on Sparta Prague. Which should be an interesting game. I would imagine we're not going to have as easy a time as we've had in recent games. But if you do want to enjoy this episode, do make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Right, fellas, so as you can see, we're currently sitting second in the league. We're taking on Sparta Prague. Don't say I don't ever bring it back for the difficult games, because I could have just played the Bohemians game and everything would have been fine. You would have seen us just demolish a relegation potential team. So, transfer-wise, this is my second time recording this because the game crashed while we were playing the match. So I'm just going to re-record this because it makes more sense. So, Member Berry is a player you've already seen, but I've changed his name. This was, remember, Adamoko Boateng, just called him Member Berry, because I am a fan of South Park. But the players that have come in since the last episode, we did have 6 weeks. So Juan Serrano is a good utility player. He's played a lot more than I expected him to. I think his star ratings weren't the best, but he's come in. He's actually a pretty decent player. So quite handy to have him in the team. It's just a decent option. Paired Karim and Islami and Zalim and Karim, they're all Iraqi players that aren't going to get game time, so we're not going to worry too much about it. Marco Konatar is a backup left back who's played a couple of games, 4 so far. Unfortunately, Yarolim picked up an injury, so he is actually getting first team football. I do like his determination. His personality of driven is quite handy to have. He's fine all-around player. He's a little... I wouldn't ideally be playing him, but these are things we have no control over. Enfali Diallo, I was quite excited when I saw a 5-star potential goalkeeper who was quite young. He's 18 years old, and a Mali under-23 international. I was quite excited when I saw him pop up as a potential, cup goalkeeper, I suppose. But he was pretty much instantly loaned out to Listen, who have Kral in their team as well. He's played 4 and conceded 1, kept 3 clean sheets, and has had a player of the match. The dude actually, maybe this is, the right thing for him to do. Go off and get a bit of game time in the second division. Florin has come in as a right back / striker who can also play in central midfield or as a winger. I don't really want him playing as a striker. Ball-winning midfielder, he's no. Winger, no. Right back, he's had a game. He's had a league game and a cup appearance. Not overly fussed about whether he plays or not. It did come from a semi-professional Belgian side. Simon Nled, a French 19-year-old right back who's going to just be in under 19s. He isn't anything overly special. The director of football did go a bit mental signing right backs. Saint Florin, Simon Malinkovic is, I think, a central left. He's another right back. I literally looked at these guys a couple of minutes ago. Do not remember. Oh, my assistant manager, or my B team? You in the B team? B team manager has him training to be a no-nonsense fullback. I need to go back and take control of that again. And then we signed Dordovic, the Dordovic brothers, twins. 28th of July. He's a right back. And his brother / twin, they're not quite twins. There's a month in between their birthdays. They're both right backs who are just never going to make it as footballers. Oh, no, I'm sorry, but that's just, you're never going to be a footballer. Players that have gone out on loan or been sold. Rezek's gone to a league rival and he's not played yet. He's actually been playing for their B team. I'm pretty happy with the 45k we got for him. I don't think he was ever going to be that good at football. They reckon his transfer value could be up to 125,000. His natural fitness is really good. Other than that, don't really think too much of him. So when Diallo came in on the 4th, yeah, he was in our first team for 4 days before he was loaned out. I'm really disappointed that he got loaned out. Games that we've played, we've had that one defeat to Slavia Prague, which was disappointing because we did have some control over the game. Slavia Prague just decided in the final half hour ish that they were going to take over. They really got involved. I forgot Memberberry was one of their ex-players, so I brought him on hoping that he'd do something. He did not, which was not ideal. But Memberberry did have a good game against Sigma, scoring a brace, and Chaldek getting his first goal for us. Then Chori decided he wanted to start scoring goals again, and he scored a brace against Boleslev. Scored one against Slavia Prague. Then we won 16-0 against a semi-professional non-league Czech side, where they scored an own goal 17 seconds in. Serrano got himself a hat-trick, and I think he had 3 assists, got a perfect 10. Isik scored and had a couple of assists. Drazik scored a hat-trick and had a couple of assists as well. Chaldek scored 4, and Sipek scored 2. We did play a rotated side though. Krasdic played his first game. Adam Vlek played at centre-back for the first time. We don't have a huge amount of rotation options, so we didn't play too many. We had to play a good few of our first team. And then 3 days later, we played against Slovako. Beat them 3-1. We weren't amazing on the day, but we did enough to win. Then against Karvina, did exactly what we needed to. Isik did get sent off quite late for a stupid tackle on the halfway line. That's the game that Yaralim picked up an injury. Thankfully, Konatar had come in a couple of days beforehand. Might have actually just been somewhere in between these 2 games. I popped him on the bench because it was handy. We were lacking players on the bench that had more to give us more versatility. Then against Yelava, again, didn't play fantastically well. Came away with a win. Did pick up 2 injuries, which was frustrating. They had a player sent off in the 47th minute, and we didn't really do an awful lot after that. It was a very tame game. I did back off a small bit. Players were starting to get very tired. And then we went and played Morelet, who are, I think they're like a 3rd division side. They're, no, again, semi-professional, but they're outside of the top 2 divisions, so nobody cares. We beat them 5-0. Chori got a brace. Serrano, Memberberry, and Chaldek all getting goals. That game we actually broke a record for the most goals scored in the cup. After playing 2 games, we'd scored 21. The record previously was 18. So that 16-0 win really did go for it though. Like full on attack. Really wanted that win. Then against the Police, we beat them 3-0. Makula getting on the score sheet, who actually played at centre back in that game. He scored from a free kick, which, not something you see very often. Chori though has, as you can see, been in amazing form. 9 appearances, 10 goals. Only 2 of those coming in the cup for 1 game, because we didn't play him against Bohuman. He has actually been called up to the Czech side as well, so that is fantastic for him. As you can see, since the first game, we've just been kind of top. We do have a game in hand over Victor Pulsen, who are on the same points as us and still unbeaten, but we are 2 games ahead of pretty much everyone else in the league. So we do have to play Pulsen and Sparta Prague as our games in hand, because they've had European games. But we are up to 5th as it stands. So our expectation was wasn't it 8th before? 5th now? I'll take that. Ourselves and Banak Ostrava expected to be up there, which is where I would expect them to be. Because we are a better side than I think last season showed. So for this game, we are going to be starting with Holek in goal, Makula and Konatar as our wing backs, Makula, I'm not 100% sure. We don't really want to play like Florin or any of the other right backs we signed, because I don't think any of them are overly good. Milan Muller's been alright there, but Makula scored a goal, so I'm going to leave him there. Panak and Salimi just continue as our central defence, because that is pretty much all the central defenders we have. Other than those two, you're pretty much looking at Muller or Vlek Svoboda. Not the best centre back in the world. Tischler and Isik in central midfield, with Sipik, Drazic and Memberberry as our front three behind Chori. Isik, Serrano and Drazic are kind of rotating in these three. Well, Drazic is playing across the attacking midfield positions as well. Just going for a slightly different setup for this game to what we have been doing, because Serrano has been good, but I want to see what Drazic can do, because he's just signed a new contract. It's a new 2-year deal, I think it is. And he'll be 33 or 34 when it runs out. So, expecting a lot from this guy, according to my director of football anyway. I don't think that he's going to be... That's definitely offside. That is offside. Offside? Oh, it's been given. What? That's not how FM22 works. To be fair, it was actually onside. We have had a number of free kicks where the Ochori hits the crossbar. We had a number. I know everyone's having the same thing, but like, we've had games where every free kick that appears on the highlights ends with the goal being disallowed for offside, and it's just like, it needs fixing. It needs fixing. Like, there was one game, I think there was like 6 players offside when the ball came in. That's a few too many. Actually, Sipek is not an inverted winger. He's an inside forward. So we'll just ask him to do that. We're going to get Memberberry to be an inverted winger as well, because it kind of suits more how we're playing. Forgot to change, because I did originally have... I've had to make a couple of changes because we had a few injuries that we picked up. Like, Yarelim is obviously injured, which is giving Conatar an extended run in the first team. He is purely just a backup, but other than Yarelim, we have Makula, who can play at left back, and I'm having trouble playing him at right back as it is, and Vlek, who... Do you know what I mean? Not my first choice. That was not a great pass by Memberberry. That was an absolute whirly of a pass by the Sparta player. We're like I said, I wasn't expecting an awful lot from this game, but it would be nice to just pick up a draw. I don't want to have 2 defeats, because we were doing well. Sipek, second attempt, Sipek puts it in the back of the net. This is one of his first starts this year. He has been perennially injured or recovering from injury quite a significant amount of this season. It's been a little bit frustrating. Memberberry gets the ball across beautifully. Sipek gets very lucky with the deflection off their defender. Don't know which one it was, but one of their defenders gave us a decent opportunity to get the ball back. Drazic, not a great free kick, but at least no one was called offside because they didn't touch the ball. Makula gets it forward to Isik. Panak finds Memberberry. He's looking for a free kick, doesn't get it, gets the ball stolen off him instead. And Sparta Prague playing very questionable tactic there, just passing the ball around. Sipek does win the ball back, but unfortunately Chori can only hit the post. We do a free kick. I'm guessing it's an offside. Panak, what are you doing? Oh my god, what are you doing? Panak is our, like... Oh. He's the guy. He's the guy. You've been terrible. But I do have faith in all of you. Jordy, not happy with your finishing? Okay. So, things aren't going exactly according to plan. Tischler has been absolutely useless as the Mazelis. They're going to make him the box to box. Conater and Makula not having a great game. Panak, the fact that he, passed the ball to their striker just made it super easy for him to score. I'm going to demand more. Thankfully, their corner has just gone over. We've had more shots. We've had a significantly higher XG. Oh. And it feels like Sparta Prague now are just going to dominate the game. Drazic. Shocking pass. And nobody tries. We're playing gegenpress. Or like the whole idea is we press people. And they're just like, it's fine. Don't worry about it, lad. Don't worry about it. It's grand. Yago. Come on. Steal the ball. Tischler finds Drazic. Churi heads it down. I can't find any of our players. Comer sends it back to Sipos, who actually, he's landed on his feet as the Sparta Prague goalkeeper because he was, remember Barry, just about puts it in. Sipos was a relegation team goalkeeper until Sparta Prague signed him, and we have gotten very lucky that Makula won that header. Sipik found Drazic, puts Memberberry through, and the goalkeeper didn't do all that well, has to be said. I'm going to chuck a bit of encouragement at the lads. This is the worst game Panak has had since I've taken over. He has been an absolute rock in our defence. He's just shit the bed today. We're going to bring on Milan Muller at right back, move Makula over to play left back, but I'm going to have him on support. And I'm going to make Muller the more attacking of our wing backs. Tischler can come off for Serrano, who I'll make him the advanced playmaker. Isik can be the box to box. Drazic is actually playing quite well, so we're not going to take him off. Might take off one of the attacking midfielders at some point, unless Panak decides to lose his brain again. This result would keep us top of the league with Pulsen still to play. I'm not expecting. Salimi almost. We're living on the edge here. I wouldn't have it any other way. All right, we need to win the ball back. We need to do something. Get in there. Get a foot in. Was that Salimi or Panak? I think it was Panak. Yeah, Panak managed to actually do some defending. Fantastic. Yanderson to take the corner. Makula heads it away. Cool head, Makula. So I've always said cool head Makula. He's just a fantastic player. Don't have to worry about anything that he does. He's just solid player. I'm going to take off I'm going to take off Drazic because he actually going to put you there. I'm going to make you a target forward on support. Drazic can come off for Chaldek. Chaldek was actually being chased by Sparta Prague. So if he does well here, could potentially get himself a cheeky little move, which would, to be fair, probably help the club if it was like, I think we're 2.5 million, or almost 2.5 million in debt. Would be nice if Sparta Prague paid a decent amount of money for him if they do decide to try and steal him away from us. Because he's been good, but if we were to get like 3 million for him, I'd take 3 million for a good prospect player. That was a save by Holek. Interesting. Thought that was after hitting the crossbar. Velci heads over. The Viktor Pulsen manager actually left Viktor Pulsen to take over at the Czech Republic national team, which I think is an interesting job to take, rather than staying with a dominant team in the country. Just take over at the national team, who struggling is probably the best way to put it. You've done brilliantly to come up with a draw. I am not going to complain with a draw. Connaughter and Panak. If Panak hadn't passed the ball to their striker from a free kick, we could be looking at potentially having won the game. Instead, closes everything up a little bit. Slavia Prague lost. Ooh. That's not good for them. It's fantastic for us. But yeah, we've a little bit of an international break now, where Chori, who after his exploits last season has been called up by the Czech national team, hasn't played yet, but I do believe that he'll get his international debut at some point. We got top again. We had more shots. They had a higher XG, so that's not too bad. Yeah, he scored a whirly of a goal, but because one of our defenders handed him the ball. So that's the first time we've conceded a goal since August. It is only October, but still. One thing I have noticed as well, I have part of a youth candidate preview. I'm guessing we stole a guy who can play as a winger and a striker off someone, because I popped into this to see when the youth intake was, and it's going to be in March. But yeah, this popped up, so I'm guessing this is how you can tell if you've stolen a player away from a different academy. At first look, this unfortunately appears to be a group of poor quality players. We have one player so far. So yeah, when do we come back? Potentially the Mall Cup, if it's a big team. And then we get to play. We could play Banek Ostrava, or we just play Banek Ostrava and Biedamen. Be interesting. Interesting. Yeah, so that's probably what we're going to do. We're going to come back in November at some point for games. So if you have enjoyed this one, do make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share with all of your friends. And of course, as always, I will see you in the next one.